Good afternoon, everyone. I do think it's about a minute or two after 12, so it's wonderful to see all of you. And I want to thank so many of you for joining us on this wonderful day in Charleston, South Carolina. This is our annual meeting for the Charleston Regional Development Alliance, an organization that is now 20 years old. And amazingly, I remember when it began because I was there. And I served on the board in 1997 for the first time, of several times serving on that board. So I'm Anita Zucker. I'm the chairperson and the CEO of the InterTech group and current chair of the Charleston Regional Development Alliance, an organization serving as a catalyst for long-term sustainable economic growth in our three-county region. We have an exciting panel of speakers you'll hear from shortly. But first, I'd like to take a moment and ask my friend, Rabbi Adam Rosenbaum of Synagogue Emmanuel, to come forward to offer the blessing for our meal.
Thank you, Anita. Good afternoon. I'm honored to be present here with the Charleston Regional Development Alliance. A line that we find in Jewish liturgy that appears usually at the end of a prayer service is L'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, to fix, to repair the world according to the rulership of heaven. And this is a phrase, tikkun olam, that Anita and the entire Zucker family use over and over again with great effectiveness, because they indeed are completely committed to the idea of not only making the world thrive, but making it thrive in a sense of fairness and love. As we face challenges of a growing economy and new opportunities, we must not forget to make it inclusive of all genders, races, religions, sexual orientations. For indeed, a repaired world is a world in which opportunity is readily available for all. Let us be thankful today for our food that we eat, for the friends that surround us, and for the chance today to learn together in the spirit of inclusiveness. Shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We are thankful to have been sustained, to have been brought together to this moment. Amen.
Please enjoy your lunch. I'll be back up in about 15 minutes. Thank you so much. I hope you will continue to enjoy your lunch, but we want to get our program underway. First, I'd like to recognize and thank our numerous sponsors who have helped make today's event possible. Trident Technical College for hosting us in this wonderful facility, Alliance Consulting Engineers, Boeing, Clemson University, Haynesworth Sinclair Boyd, the InterTech Group, MUSC, Roper St. Francis, SCANA, SunTrust, and WestRock. Thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors. It's always great to look out and see so many friends. Today we have some other special people we want to introduce to all of you. We've got a number of elected officials joining us today, and I'd like to take a moment to recognize each of them. Please hold your applause, and to all of our elected officials, if you'll stand for a moment, that would be great so everyone can see you. From the South Carolina State Senate, and also one of our past board chairs, Senator Sean Bennett. Hold your applause, please. Senator Paul Campbell. From the South Carolina House of Representatives, Representative Leon Stavronakis, also mayoral candidate for the city of Charleston. Representative Joe Danning. Representative Jenny Horn. From Berkeley County, Supervisor and County Chairman Bill Piegler. From Charleston County, Chairman Elliott Summey, Councilman Vic Rawl, Councilman Herb Sass. From Dorchester County, Chairman David Chinnis, Councilman Jay Byers, Councilman Willie Davis, Councilman Larry Hargett, Councilman Bill Hearn, and Councilman George Bailey. From the town of Mount Pleasant, Mayor Linda Page and Councilman Mark Smith. From the town of Somerville, still Mayor Bill Collins. I agree. And Councilman Aaron Brown. And last but not least, mayoral candidate for the city of Charleston, John Tecklenburg. Have I missed anyone? All right, let's get this show on the road. I hope not. I want to thank all of these individuals for their service and their commitment to advancing our three-county region. Thank you all. The CRDA is a nonprofit organization, meaning we don't generate a profit or income. We rely on our support, your support, to drive our research, marketing, and business attraction programs. Without your investments, the work of the Alliance could not be possible. So I'd like to say a very sincere thank you to our three county governments, 5 largest municipalities, and the more than 100 businesses and other organizations that have stepped up to ensure our region can compete successfully for new high-value investments and talents. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, I'd like to especially recognize our 22 Economic Leadership Council investors for their very generous support and leadership at the highest level. And again, hold your applause. If you're here, you can stand for a moment. Our ELC chairman, David Dunlap of Roper St. Francis Healthcare, John Barnwell, Evening Post Industries, Lonnie Carter, Santee Cooper, Dwayne Cartwright, Berkeley Electric Co-op, Reg Christopher, Terracon, Dr. Jim Clements, Clemson University, Dr. David Cole, MUSC, Ronnie Givens, Charleston Naval Complex Redevelopment Authority, Jack Goatee, South State Bank, Dr. Jerry Hunter, Charleston Southern University, Kenny Jackson, Scana Corporation, Sean Jenkins, Benefit Focus, Glenn McConnell, College of Charleston, Dr. Harris Pastides, University of South Carolina, Jordan Phillips, South Street and Kiowa Partners, Rick Redden, Wells Fargo, Will Riley, Charleston Trident Association of Realtors, Lieutenant General John Rosa, the Citadel, Ken Seeger, West Rock Land and Development, O.L. Thompson Construction Company, Dr. Mary Thornley, Trident Technical College, and me, Anita Zucker of the InterTech Group. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, my last order of business this afternoon before we start the actual program is to welcome David Ginn, CRDA President and CEO, to the microphone to outline CRDA's strategic direction and introduce our panel of global leaders. Thank you.
Thanks, Anita, and welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming today. I'm privileged to serve as president of our region's economic development organization. We call it, as you know, the Charleston Regional Development Alliance. And we serve as a catalyst for long-term, sustainable economic prosperity in this whole three-county region that we all live and work in. And that's our mission. Now, looking around the room, I see the faces of so many top leaders. It's the government leaders, business leaders, academic leaders, civic leaders, all combined. Your continued support and leadership makes the mission I just described possible, to build a sustainable, globally competitive regional economy in this beautiful place. Without you, we couldn't effectively market and promote this region as a world-class place for exceptional business, talent, and entrepreneurs. So thank you all very much for being here. February of this year marked the 20th anniversary of the Charleston Regional Development Alliance, the public-private regional economic development partnership representing Berkeley, Charleston, and Dorchester counties was founded, for those of you that are new to the community, was founded in February of 1995. And it was really in response to the Navy base closure. And again, those of you that have not been here that long, it was announced in 1993 that we were going to lose 22,000 naval shipyard and naval base jobs. And if that doesn't wake a community up, nothing will. Funded and led by the 3 counties, 5 largest cities, dozens of private companies, and the largest colleges and universities, we have much to be thankful for. We've been very grateful over the past 20 years to have facilitated the announcement of 258 competitive economic development projects in the region, including last week's announcement of Alkane Trucks locating its manufacturing operations in Dorchester County. These commitments represent more than 30,000 new direct jobs and $8 billion in new capital investment in the region since 1995. Good stuff. This economic momentum would not be possible without the foresight, guidance, and contributions of visionary leaders who guided the growth and development of the Alliance over these past 20 years we're talking about. This is a special milestone and a wonderful opportunity to celebrate and recognize those leaders who aligned the community in a shared vision and guided us to the next level over these past 20 years. And I'm so pleased today that 15 of our 19 past board chairs are with us today, just over here in these front couple of tables. Thank you so much for your service. And what I'd like to do is ask you, I know you're eating, but please stand and be recognized when I call your name. And as Anita mentioned, if you can, as the audience, please hold your applause till I get through all of their names, and then we can recognize them for their service. First, Graham Edwards, former CEO of Santee Cooper, served as our first board chairman back in 1995. And unfortunately, he's unable to be with us today, but asked me to send everyone his very best. Next was Charlie Way. That's W-A-Y. Charlie, please stand up. He was our next chairman. Jim Bryan actually served in 2 separate terms as chairman, followed by Sis Marshall. Sis, I did not see you, but I have you on my list. Bill Moody followed Sis. Thank you, Bill. George Tupper, I saw this morning. Gene Williams. There's Gene. These guys are warm in my heart. Y'all have no idea. I knew I was going to read these names, and I told them just a minute ago, you know, these are my bosses for the last 15 years. So it's like all coming back. In a good way, mostly, yeah. Bill Youngblood followed Gene Williams. Ted Creech followed Bill. Bill McCall, who was quoted as saying, Ted plus one. So he followed Ted. Bill Finn, also is unable to be with us today, was the first of my many mentors in this region and this wonderful community. And I wish he could be here. He is really one of the main reasons I came so long ago, and I'm grateful for his friendship. Robert Pratt followed Bill Finn. Mitchell Bohannon followed Robert. Sean Bennett, now Senator Sean Bennett, followed Mitchell. R.M. Singletary, followed Sean. Wayne Hall, who is recently retired, is unable to be with us today. Bob Whitten. Lonnie Carter was unable to be with us today as well. And Anita Zucker, our current board chair. And I'd also like, before we recognize them, I'd like to recognize our organization's first CEO, a gentleman some of you may not know and many of you do, Ben Cole. And unfortunately, he's unable to be with us today as well. I just want to publicly thank him for his friendship and leadership. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking these leaders for their collective vision, commitment, and service to our community. Y'all think I'm joking. That's a lot of good stuff. At its heart, this public-private partnership is about convening and collaborating. And I believe the root of our market success, all the success we're enjoying today, and we talk about and we're thankful for, I believe the root of it is alignment around a common vision. As we embark on developing the community's next 5-year regional strategy, we must all continue to work together. You've got to stay together with a shared vision, an action plan for the future, all aligned together. We want the Charleston region, I say we, I think I talk to all of you, we want the Charleston region to be known internationally as an innovative and inspiring location for business and talent. Our economy has changed dramatically over the past 20 years. We're recognizing these great leaders, and certainly in the last 5 years. While our metro area ranks 76th in the country in terms of population, we rank 18th in the country for advanced industries, which is defined by the researchers as including advanced manufacturing, certainly, computer technology, logistics and transportation, and medical research. So 76th largest metro, playing way above our weight in the top 20 in the country. Charleston's regional economy is increasingly driven by companies like Boeing, Volvo, Benefit Focus, and Blackbaud, who require a highly skilled technical workforce. And our competition no longer communities just in the southeastern United States, but throughout the world. And to thrive in the global marketplace, our community must have a global perspective, from how we seize opportunities to how we address our challenges. And this is the goal for today's panel, to learn from these global leaders we'll introduce in just a few minutes, and catalysts who personally and professionally will impact our region for generations to come. How can we be better? And what does it take to get there? These are the questions that we need to address and we intend to address today. Carolyn Hunter will guide the conversation today. She'll moderate the discussion among the panelists and then open the floor to all of you for questions in the last 10 or 15 minutes that we have together today. A successful entrepreneur and influential community leader, Carolyn is the president and owner of CRDA Unlimited. She began as a member of the grill crew with McDonald's in 1977, and I was right there with you. I was at the grill crew too in Atlanta at the McDonald's. I didn't advance, though, through the managerial ranks as Carolyn did, from that entry-level time all the way up. And she saved for 5 years, so the story goes, to own her first franchise. Today, she owns 3 restaurants in the Low Country, employing over 200 people. Great story, Carolyn. I love it. She holds many leadership roles, currently serving as the board chair of the Trident Technical College Foundation. We just held our board meeting this morning, and she's awesome at that, and many other things. She serves on SCANA's advisory board, Trident United Way's board, Charleston Southern University's Board of Visitors, and the board of the Charleston Ronald McDonald House. Through her business experience and her company, Carolyn also supports local community projects such as the Teacher's Supply Closet, the Moja Arts Festival, the McTeacher's Night, and in 2011, many of you don't know this because this is a very humble lady, she pledged to donate $1 million to Trident Tech to assist the school with its work in providing opportunity to deserving students throughout the Charleston area. And we look forward to hearing not only her insights as she facilitates our global leadership panel, but also from these great leaders. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Carolyn Hunter and our panelists to the stage.
Good afternoon. And David, thank you. When you mentioned you were in the grill, I was there in '77. I think you were probably about 20 years after me, but that's okay. How's everyone doing this afternoon? Good. When I got the invitation to do this, I was excited, and I said, "Thank you, Anita." And then I realized I've never done this before. So I decided to look for some inspiration, and I looked at the last Republican debate. And I learned what not to do. I also realized I have a totally different panel. I have a panel of 3 highly successful and accomplished women. I think some of the most talented and impressive women on the entire East Coast, and maybe even in the country. So, hats off to these ladies. I'm going to read a little bit about each of them so you can know something about their background. So to my immediate left I have, and I'm trying to say it right, Katarina Fiording. Oh, thumbs up, I did okay. Katarina is a senior Volvo executive, mechanical engineer, and an automotive veteran with global experience from Europe, Asia, and the Americas. She previously lived in the Midwest for 6 years, working for Ford. And when she's not working, she is now delighted to find out that she can continue to do some of the things she loves to do outdoors, such as sailboat racing, hunting, but she can now do it while living at the beach. I said, that's pretty all right. We enthusiastically welcome Volvo and Katarina to the Low Country.
Thank you.
And next we have Beverly Weiss. Beverly is Vice President and General Manager of Boeing, you know, that small airplane company. She has overall leadership responsibility for all of Boeing's South Carolina operations and facilities in North Carolina. She is a mechanical engineer, also with an MBA from the University of Washington in Seattle. Before she was VP and General Manager of the 737 program, before she came to South Carolina, she's been with Boeing since 1985. Boeing has done, as we all know, so much for our community. And I especially want to thank your company, Beverly, for that magnificent donation that was recently announced of $500,000. So thank you so much. And now we come to our third panelist. I think everybody probably knows this wonderful woman, Miss Anita Zucker. Anita is chair and CEO of a global conglomerate, the InterTech Group, which is based in North Charleston. It's one of the largest private companies in the U.S., and the InterTech Group and its affiliates operate with a diverse group of industries ranging from aerospace, specialty chemicals, real estate, and entertainment. As we all know, Anita is a passionate philanthropist. She serves on the Board of Trustees of the University of Florida. She's the chair of this organization that pulled together this wonderful meeting today. And her most recent undertaking, which is a Tri-County Cradle to Career Collaborative, she's leading that, and I know it's going to cause all kind of positive results as it relates to education in our area. Like so many of you, I buy a lot of things from Amazon. And you know, Amazon is A to Z. Well, you know, I just realized when it comes to philanthropy, Anita Zucker is A to Z. So we have our own A to Z right here in Charleston.
Nice.
I have some questions I'm going to ask these esteemed ladies. Some of them I'll ask of one, some of two. Some might be answered by all. So we're going to take some time with the discussion. I'm hoping in the end we'll have at least 15 minutes because I know so many of you have your own personal questions that you want to ask. We're hoping that we'll have a lively discussion. If you hear something that resonates with you, it's okay to cheer or clap. We are in the South. So if you hear something that you don't like, just sit quietly and smile. So now I think it's time to get on with asking some questions because I know you're ready and we want to get you out on time. So the first question that I have, I'm going to ask of Katarina and Beverly. And my first question is, you have lived, traveled, and worked all over the world. How does Charleston compare? How are we different, and what surprises you about our area? Katarina?
Okay. First, I have to say it's probably one of the most friendliest places I've ever been to. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for embracing us and welcome us into this community. But what's interesting also with Charleston and the whole region, the county and the state, is that even if it may not be the largest one, it really has the dynamics of a much larger region. And it has a lot of professionals who are very, very engaged and do not counteract each other. And I think that's applaudable.
Very good.
Thank you. Beverly?
I would also like to thank everyone for the incredibly warm welcome. And as you pointed out, that's part of the South. And it encompasses not only making Charleston a wonderful place to live, but it also helps us from a business standpoint attract and retain people. So Boeing coming to this region has given us access to talent that we would never have had we not come into this region. The support in the region, the tremendous infrastructure that's here is going to continue to make Charleston, I think, an incredible place for growth. You know, in a business like ours, in fact, all three of ours, the fact that there is such a strong port, the infrastructure with the airport and, you know, the growth there, the access to the whole eastern seaboard and the major metropolitan areas being so close by makes it unique in that it has all this infrastructure, but also this very welcoming small town feel. So we couldn't be happier to be part of the Charleston family.
Okay, thank you. Just to add a little personal side note, I moved here most recently before I came here from New York City. And there was just a little bit of a difference. But to be perfectly honest, it was about 10 years before I realized what a gem of a city I had moved to. And I had an opportunity to talk to a McDonald's representative that told me Charleston is the #1 place that people request to go as owners. And I look at the number of people that come up to me and say, well, Carolyn, when you're ready to retire, I don't know if I was looking haggard that day, I'd love to buy your stores. And I said, well, you're number 300 on the list. But truly, everybody wants to come here because of all the things we have to offer. So thank you, ladies. My second question is, and I'd like Anita to start off by answering this one, the Charleston region's economy has changed, and we are now competing on a different scale. What does competing in the global economy mean for your company, and what lessons can our metro area learn about competing successfully?
Thank you. Well, first of all, competing globally, we do that every day. It's made it easier, though, for us because you talked about infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Our airport we've been lucky enough to add more flights and more airlines. That in itself allows us to have the opportunities to move across the world, essentially. And of course, with the addition of technology, You can work around the clock, you can work from your home, you can work from anywhere and keep in touch. In fact, sometimes I think I'm too in touch with people. But it's great and it's wonderful. And so for this area, I think that has impacted us. Infrastructure has its issues. However, the ability to have our people move around and get to where they need to go is the best. The opportunity for us to provide education at the higher ed level, there are many options for people to allow them to have the growth that's also necessary to work globally. We have to have people that compete around the world and can handle and understand what is necessary to work throughout the world. So all of those pieces, to me, are very, very critical. The education piece, the infrastructure of the airport, and the ability to travel. Our port makes it very easy for us to get our products around the world as well. So there are all of these different pieces that impact how we can operate and be successful. And I think I'll stop there.
Okay. Okay, and Beverly?
Let's see. Well, you hit so many of the key points. I'll just build on it. One, I would foot stomp the whole education, and you've done a fabulous job. Many of our companies have been working together on the whole STEM education. It's a huge investment. It's critical to us in terms of that pipeline. You know, we invest a lot of money in the education in the region, not just for Boeing, but because it will make the entire economy in the area, with a real focus as well as continuing to ensure that we do a better job making sure that there's opportunities for everyone. So we really need to continue that open conversation about how do we make sure that the opportunities that have been at the wealthier end of the scale are available throughout the socioeconomic communities. As the community continues to grow, focusing on how it grows, having that vision that gets in front of those infrastructure questions will be critical.
Absolutely.
Charleston has just a fabulous, unique charm, right? And so clearly the city and county councils have done a great job of maintaining that feel, that small town feel. If we have aspirations for significant growth, we're going to have to balance some of those things and get in front of it so it doesn't happen to us. And that's a great opportunity. And we're increasingly seeing, as more businesses come in, Charleston play on a global scale in South Carolina. So some of the challenges that have been in front of our national legislation around things like the Export-Import Bank, incredible partnerships with some of the key legislatures here in South Carolina supporting and understanding those key issues. That helps not only Boeing, but small businesses all over the United States ensure that we are playing on a level global playing field. So those are just some of the things that come to mind that are going to continue to evolve as we grow.
Okay, thank
Can
you.
I add a little something?
Yes.
So, you know, when I think about what I spoke of earlier, and thank you for focusing on education and STEM, another important issue, I look at MUSC, and we have Roper St. Francis here, and we have Trident Hospital here. We have so many incredible facilities related to the health. As long as we can keep our communities healthy, that is also a very critical piece that allows us to operate globally. And I will say that with MUSC, they do operate globally. They do travel around the world. They work all over the world in some of what they are working on. Roper is now starting to be extremely involved with Israel, as is MUSC, and has a new center. We have opportunities now for students all over the world that are in our higher ed institutions to travel, to have internships, to work within our medical field, but also in each of our fields. And, you know, I'm not the mechanical engineer, but I am the educator, and I'm still an educator every day. And we need to have our engineers, and so it's great to have our higher ed institutions represented here, understanding the critical importance for our growth. So all of those things together help make this possible, and we have to continue to allow all of our people, from our babies until we get to the age we retire, to have jobs and to have opportunities. Every person needs the opportunity, as you said.
Okay, thank you. And Katarina?
Yes, education. It's extremely important. But I like to emphasize that it's all education, not just the higher levels. Not everyone needs to be an engineer. It's very nice if we can encourage the young ones to want to be engineers. When I was young, it was a little bit trendy. A lot of people want to be in media, etc. now, but we need to show the young ones also it's really cool with technique, because we need more technical skills, and we need it on all levels. So we also need to work on the trade skills from the very first level on hourly workers all the way up. And I think we do have a lot of focus on good education here. I think we need more to get the key talent out on the technician side, on the production side, more detailed skills. And those are shorter educations, but very, very important. And it also enables us to give education to more people. We all win and lose together. I think, so there's an opportunity there. Trade zones is a favorite topic of mine. I worked a lot with that in China. I think that we have a lot of officials who do a lot of lobbying here for different causes. This is another area that we can engage in. Free trade zone is a great enabler. We have some very professional partners in the area, like the Port Authority. And if we combine that with something like a free trade zone, we have a much faster way in and out in terms of doing business. And then, of course, this is a very business-forward community. And there are loads of professionals who are engaged in this in their daily work and also in their free time. I'm amazed by all the people who are so interested and always looking for a business case. And that is it's an enormous strength of this community. And then I want to say one more thing about education. There really can't be too many programs. So we shouldn't have the schools competing, which school gets what program. There could be several programs in several different schools. I think that is definitely an enabler. Some friendly competition is always good, but...
Okay, well, thank you. And since you just mentioned higher education, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge David for choosing this fine facility for this event to be held. I hold in the highest honor the leadership and staff and everyone at this school. So if anyone is looking for a place for higher education, start here. I just had to say that. Okay, the next question I have is for Anita, and this question is, what is the single most important issue facing our community?
It's kind of hard to choose one. I really have two. Okay.
Right now.
I will start with one, and then I have to go to two. So the first one is our infrastructure, because in order to have the jobs that we have here, and in order to have the type of region that we want in terms of quality for living and for everything, for work, to move our products from place, to move our employees to work, we really have to fix that infrastructure, meaning our roads. Okay, our roads have got to be repaired. I really ask those of you in the legislature that are here to think about this region and how people move around and how it's changed. I've been here 37 years, and watching how we've grown and changed, this is an area that must have work. I was sitting in an airplane last night, and I overheard a person in front of me, not trying to eavesdrop, but he was saying, "We're moving." And the person next to him, "Why are you moving?" He said, "Well, it's now taking my wife an hour to go take our child to school and then drive to work." And I understand that feeling, but at the same time, I don't want to leave a community that I love. I just want us to work harder to work on the issues that really impact how everyone gets around. All of us need to have our employees. our employees need to be able to get to work. And I have to always quote Glenn McConnell. He said, we can educate them, but we need the roads to get them to where they need to work. And so that's number one. But number two is equally as important, and that's education. And there is no doubt that we have to work on every child from the minute those children are born, cradle to career. That's what we do. We've got to focus on every child. Every child in this region needs to be educated, and every child needs to learn, whether it's a trade or whether it's to become a certain type of professional, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, whatever career. There are many careers today that exist now that didn't exist 10 years ago, and there will still be careers 10 years from now that don't exist. People must be highly trained, but they also must be highly trainable. And that is also critical. It doesn't mean you have to start your college education immediately after high school, because we are working harder on training people at the high school level with the trades, with the opportunities where they can go ahead and go to work right out of high school. But the key is they must be able to continue to learn, because then they can go back, they can get certifications in other areas or to take them farther in the careers they've chosen. And we need people to be able to get those four-year degrees and those graduate degrees. We have to provide it all, because we are constantly growing and changing. And, you know, I always talk about change. Believe me, my life has changed overnight. I never expected to be in this seat. But without my level of education, I don't think I could have sat in this seat, and without the ability to face change. And I think the better educated people are, they become more flexible and have the abilities to face the change that may come towards each of us. We have to be willing to change. We have to be willing to grow, whether it's personal growth or the growth of our businesses or the growth of this region. It's happening. We have to work together and work with it to grow the right way. And we have to work on the infrastructure and the education, to me, the two most critical issues. And I'm very thankful that we have incredible higher ed institutions here that are collaborating and working together. And we are working on our K through 12 as well as our preschool issues. So I want to thank all of the individuals and the organizations that are working hard to help us. We have hard work ahead of us, both from the education perspective to make sure we can provide the right kind of education, as well as really, really, really putting out the effort to fix the infrastructure. We saw what happened just a few weeks ago with the floods. We had them again a week ago. We must work to secure our roads, to secure our bridges, the dams in the region. We have them just like Columbia had. Look at what happened. We've got to fix these things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think I can agree with you. Both of those are extraordinarily important. When you talk about infrastructure and we look at the time it's taken us to travel, and I was listening to the radio one day, and one of my regular routes is going from Goose Creek to Monk's Corner, and they said, traffic is congested from Goose Creek to Monk's Corner. Okay, we got work to do, but we got the right people in this room to fix it. Okay. My next question is, what can and should the leaders in this room do to work together to move the community forward? Beverly?
Me.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think this is part of that forum. It is about sharing what concerns us, where we can come together and actually create a shared vision of the future that will then help us put together the plans that will support it. How much growth is Charleston and the Charleston region looking to achieve by what time frame? Where are the plans and the investments to deal with, you know, the rising tides, right? Depending on what your view of climate change is, protecting that downtown Charleston region could be a major investment, but one that I think everybody would agree is critical and well worth it. But it will take decades to get that, investment in place. I won't foot stomp the education thing anymore because Anita did it so powerfully. But where are those plans for people, whether it's coming into our manufacturing, creating manufacturing jobs, creating more and more space for the knowledge workers that we would like to both attract to this region. So these are the forums, if you like, working with City Council and the legislatures in the state to make sure that the priorities that will help keep the region strong are the ones that we're putting forward together. So this is a powerful forum.
Okay, thank you. Katarina?
Thank you. Foster collaboration, communicate. If there are issues, bring them up on the table. Transparency, talk about them. Not talking about them will not solve the issue. I like the term onboarding. Everyone aboard. Leave no man behind. Again, we all need to run in the same direction. Then we are most successful. Integration, embrace cultural differences, both inside the country and the community, and also those that come at us from other regions. And we also have a lot to learn from each other. And I like this congestion thing. I do agree that infrastructure is needed and very important, but just to put it in context, I used to sit 2 hours in traffic sometimes when I lived in China, and we don't want to get there. So, so let's start now. If we want this onslaught of people, we need to take care of that one. I think also it's important to foster a community where everyone feels included, regardless of where they are at in the community.
It's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anita?
Well, I agree with everyone. Thank you, Katarina, and thank you, Beverly, for focusing on those issues that are so important. I think another thing we can do as leaders, and we have so many of our leadership in this community, is we have to speak as one voice. We have to determine what the issues are so that we can then help provide whatever push may be needed, depending on whether it's political or working with our elected officials at every level, from the city level all the way to the state level and the federal level. Those are all issues, and we should be doing these things together, because I really think that numbers talk. And we really have to make issues around the number of people we are talking about that each of us have in this area or other areas of the country or the world, and how critically important it is that together we solve these issues. And yes, being collaborative is something that I believe in as well, totally and completely. And what I do see beginning to happen as well is that our higher ed institutions are becoming much more collaborative, and I want to congratulate them on the work that they're doing together, because we have to have all of you helping us as well. And I want to say that with the CRDA right now, we are beginning this incredible process, okay, of doing strategic planning for the next 5 years. The issues need to be brought forth, and we need to create a plan now for how we're going to address what happens over the next 5 years, and talent is one of those pieces. Infrastructure will be one of those pieces. Growth will be one of those pieces. So those are just some of the pieces that will be spoken about. We really need those of you who have an interest to make certain that you let us know what those issues are, and whether or not you choose or would like to be involved in some way in any of our focus groups or sessions that we're going to be holding over the next 6 to 8 months as we progress through this project. It's a really critical time to create a plan that all of us adopt and want to work towards together.
Okay. Well, thank you. We have a lot of seasoned business leaders in the room, but we can always learn. So my next question is, what is the best business advice you were given or would like to share of your own? Katarina?
I could take one of the favorite things we do in our company is go see for yourself.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that for many years. And when we first put those text up on the walls, those different code words or sentences that we want to act by, it always felt a bit contrite. But when I look back now over the years, this is something we're still doing. And this is one of the most valuable things. Seeing is believing. We are simple creatures. We like to see things before we believe it, preferably. No offense.
Okay.
Going out into, when you have operations, and it doesn't have to be a plan, go straight into real life and listen. You've probably seen this on TV, Undercover Boss. You don't have to be undercover. You can just walk out there without an entourage. Just integrate and listen into the system. Get so much more information than sitting behind a desk and have someone reporting things to you. Go see for yourself is totally invaluable, both privately and professionally, I think.
Thank you. Beverly?
It's very good. We call it management by walking around. I think you can go to many companies and see the benefit of actually connecting with people and with what their challenges are. I suppose the one I would choose is a quote by Colin Powell: "Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier." I think when people dream big and they are able to see something much larger than what they have today, we really bring the best out of individuals and communities. You know, when we can create a vision, so in the 5-year vision, I hope the team will be aspirational, right, in reducing all of our commutes to 5 minutes or less. Or maybe that very fast Volvo that, with very short distances in between can be part of it. And I just think that, we too often create barriers. We say we can't rather than how could we. And this community being as close as it is and willing to work on big dreams, I think, can be powerful for all of us. That would be mine.
Okay, thank you. Anita?
So for me, I think one of the most important lessons I've learned is to communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Don't let others tell your story. You have to get out there, and whether it's with people you work with, you've got to be there with them, one-on-one, many-on-one, whatever way, you've got to get out there. And with the people that we're working with within our communities, we have to talk with each other, and we have to make sure we understand each other. And I think sometimes we can find ourselves not going the right direction because we've just not communicated appropriately. And I have learned a huge lesson about how critically important that is, and I think that is one of the most valuable lessons I could learn. Another one is always being positive, but I love yours about walking around. I just came back from traveling and visiting companies of ours in different countries and places, and it's really amazing when you get out on the floor of the plant, talking to everyone, shaking hands, thanking them for the work that they do. That is another area that is just so important. Letting everyone know that you value each of them. That is part of that communication as well, valuing every person and communicating with them whenever you can and are able to.
Okay.
I'd like to add something.
Yes, certainly.
This thing of walking out, we have actually started to prevent certain people of doing this in our business because we want them to do it the right way. You need to give something back when you walk the floor. You can not just be an industrial tourist and walk around and check things out. Also, all our executives, no matter if it's the board of directors or whoever VIPs, they all have to dress up in safety clothing because we all have to be role models. And the more important jobs we have, the more people are watching us. We must not forget that. And the things we say and the questions we ask make a difference when we're out there. And then, of course, integrity can never be underestimated.
Okay, thank you. A couple of weeks ago, I was at a women owners conference in Boca Raton, and it was, as I said, women, all women. And so one brave lady got up and asked the CEO of McDonald's, "When is the last time you've been in one of our restaurants to work?" And he hemmed and hawed and tossed it off. And so when you talk about walking around and seeing what actually happens, it really is so critical. I think most people probably know from our story we had a upward trajectory for about 10 years, and then we started to flounder a bit. And I think just being in there, seeing what's happening at ground level is just so critical, and making sure you're making the right decisions to move your company forward. So thank you all for those comments. Now we're going to learn a little bit about you personally. What gets you energized and excited? Beverly?
Energized and excited.
We're talking about work now. No.
I think it is when I see somebody accomplish something that they didn't think they could. You know, there's whether it's with my children when they were little playing soccer, or people at work accomplishing a milestone. I find that very, very inspirational. It's where I focus so much of my career today. It is one of the easiest ways to motivate me is to tell me I can't. You know, I can't do something, and I very much get I'll show you. I can. I'm the bottom of 7 kids, so I came by it honestly, right? There was only one way I was going to keep up, and I think it's an energy that we can share, again, throughout the community. When you think about children who maybe haven't seen their parents have the opportunities to achieve the goals that they would like to achieve, I do think communication skills is a real equal opportunity leveler, and throughout their education, we should encourage people to get strong communication skills so that they can tell their story, and I think that's part of it. So that's what energizes me, is seeing people do something that they didn't think they could.
Okay, good. Now I have a slightly different question for Katarina and Anita. What keeps you awake at night?
I like my question.
Katarina?
Now I have to say time plan and budget. But, generically, when you're in charge of a big operation and you have a lot of people in your area of responsibility, like Beverly and I had in China, it's you never want that phone call that someone has been injured.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing. Or that something has happened with our product, with the end customer, so injured outside our sphere as well. That is probably the worst thing. You don't lie sleepless, but it's certainly something you worry about always, and something we work very actively to prevent always. That's the scariest part, because you always ask yourself, what could I have done to prevent this, big and small. So I want to say that.
Safety.
Okay, thank you.
I would say I agree with you on those as well, but I have some other things I want to mention.
Okay.
So, of course, my business, those kinds of issues are critical, and they could keep me up at night. The good news is so far so good. We're hanging in there. I'm a different type of company, so I have different kinds of things. One of the things that does keep me up at night, though, is making certain that in this region, we're going to be able to provide the workforce that's necessary as we grow, because we're growing so rapidly. I also think about baby boomers. I'm one of them. Okay, retirement is coming for some of us. It's going to be here in the next 3 to 5 years for many people. We all do succession planning in our businesses on a regular basis. So not only do I have concerns about having new people joining our business because our business is growing, but the need to have new people joining our business because we have people who are retiring. Mm-hmm. So those are issues that keep me up, but also the idea of competition. Competition for employees that we might be facing, for those of us who are already here, with those of us who need employees and are going to be growing. So we have to make certain that we are remaining competitive, that we are working carefully and watching over to all of our employees to provide the benefits that are necessary, all of the things that are necessary to know that we have people working with us that are happy, that enjoy their work. My husband used to say, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. I want to have happy people like that working with me, and I want to make certain that we're able to keep those people that we work hard to train with us, while at the same time hopefully having the growth that's necessary so we can bring many new people in. But I want to make sure that in this region and in our state, that our state is looking at all the data around the growth and the needs, not just because new businesses are coming, but because of the baby boomer retirements that we are expecting. And we, through the Chamber and the CRDA, there's this incredible skills gap analysis that was done. And being able to refer to that and take a look at where growth is going to come and what types of careers are growing, we need to make certain we're paying attention. Those things actually do keep me up at night.
Okay.
Can I
Well,
add something
yes.
very quickly?
Yes.
It's funny, we've been having a conversation with our team, and I'm telling them that Katerina is going to build a plant, a Volvo plant down the street, and if we're not careful, she's going to steal all your people. And we say it in fun, but you know, the competition is a good thing, right? It is a really good thing because it causes you to reflect on, you know, what makes people's work life what they want it to be. Are we engaging the employees? Can they see, you know, where they're making a difference? Are we creating the right work environment? And are we helping making sure that there is a strong pipeline so that when Katerina's plant opens up, there's enough workers for Boeing and for Volvo, and we can really learn from each other and help the region grow in a really healthy way. So it gets back to that. It doesn't have to be win-lose. Make use of the fun competition, but make sure the infrastructure is there for all of us. But that is the first thing I said to her when I met her.
It was.
Well, I've got a
I met at a social event, and someone said, "This is Karina Wevle." She said, "Please don't take my people."
Yes, that workforce competition is getting more and more fierce. I have gotten a discreet signal that I need to bring it to a close, but I have one quick question I'd like to ask, and that is, what is your vision or your company's vision for the region for the next 10 years?
That's easy. Everyone drives Volvo.
Okay. Okay, we'll take that. That means lots of people will be working manufacturing those Volvos.
Right. And then they fly to their vacation on a Boeing airplane. Gets easier and easier.
Okay, Anita?
And then I put parts on yours, and then we have to figure out how we do make parts for automotive. So we're going to have to figure that out too. And come to hockey and eat in my restaurant.
That's a long list.
Okay.
I can keep going. You know, again, I'm a little bit different, but I really want everyone here to be successful. That, you know, to me, having a healthy, successful community would be my vision over the next 10 years.
Okay. Well, thank you. Each of you are certainly doing a magnificent job in contributing to and helping us head in that direction, being successful and healthy and living in Charleston. That's a great thing. One last word to describe the Charleston region. Beverly?
Inspirational. I think we've got an incredible runway in front of us. I think the way this community has worked together, you know, sometimes you can look at how do people handle things when they don't go well, and nobody who's lived in the Charleston region for the last year could not be proud of how this community has dealt with the challenges in front of us, and I think it speaks to what the next decade and hopefully decades will be in front of us. So happy to be here, and I'm inspired.
Thank you. Katerina?
I want to say dynamic then. We talked about collaboration, and the way all of you rallied to get Volvo here, if you have that energy and that collaboration in everything, you cannot lose. It's very dynamic.
Vibrant. Everybody's excited. Everybody is filled with action. There's so much opportunity. So I see us as vibrant.
Okay. Well, with those words, we're going to bring the panel discussion to a close. I just want to thank these wonderful ladies for taking their time, for all the wisdom they've shared. Let's have a hand. And I believe we now have a few minutes for Q&A. We have some roving mics, I think. Okay, I see. So if you have a question, raise your hand and the mic is on the way. Do I see a hand? Okay, I see one over there. If you would stand and state your name and then your question. And if you want to direct it to a particular panelist.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
What are your companies going to be doing in regards to the STEM program for our children in the near future? Can you guys say a little bit on that?
Did you want any particular panelist or anyone? Okay. Yes.
Boeing has invested in the community quite a lot in STEM education. Over the last 5 years, we've put about $25 million into the community at large, and about 50% of that goes specifically to STEM projects, both in helping train teachers so that they can both inspire and effectively train students. We also have programs that look at students very early. Like Anita talked about, the Cradle to Career is a great model. Students have to be ready to learn, and so we invest in things like the Low Country Food Bank. People may not think about that in terms of education, but basic health care and wellness is required for people to even be able to absorb the education. We have a program at Boeing called the Dream Learners Program, where we invite students to come in and learn about what types of careers might be available, teaching them the basics of math and science. So again, trying to get them excited. We've had about 126,000, we've touched 126,000 students in the community where our employees will go out into the classroom and work directly with the students. So there's so many opportunities. We're gonna keep doing it, keep investing in the community. And again, this type of collaboration, we've worked a lot with Anita and the other leaders in the community to figure out where those dollars are best spent.
Okay. Yes.
So in terms of STEM, there are a variety of different things that we're engaged with, whether it's working with Trident Technical College and the Chamber and providing scholarships for students. So we have funded those kinds of programs. The InterTech group gives out grants. We've given out about $500,000 a year. We don't publicize it very often. You don't really hear about it, but we've been funding many of our local schools individually when they come to us for particular programs related to the STEM fields. Also, we have a company that we have invested in that is becoming national. It's called STEM Premier, and within STEM Premier, it's a platform, a software platform, much like, I think it's Rivals.com, that's used for recruiting students into college that want to play sports. Well, STEM Premier is an opportunity for students to create a portfolio based on their STEM engagement in their high schools that they can then take with them and use. And colleges are signing on now as well and becoming partners with the school districts. Berkeley County actually piloted this last year, and it's going incredibly well. I don't even know the total numbers currently of students that have signed on, but also colleges and universities that have signed on to then recruit those children. So giving people the opportunities to be selected to get scholarships and to go to larger colleges and universities, whether it's in the state or anywhere in our country or the world, I think is a wonderful opportunity. So we made a major investment in STEM Premier. And then we've made a number of investments, everything from the College of Education at the Citadel that has a specific program working on STEM, working with the McNair Center at the University of South Carolina that is all STEM, with engineers working on aerospace. We've had people from that center come and do internships in our facility in North Charleston, our TIG HITCO plant. We've had master's mechanical engineering students come and work for the summers. We'll do a lot more of those kinds of things with Clemson. We are building an incredible graduate education center right here in this community, and I'm really proud of that. Really proud of that opportunity because once again, we will be able to offer more careers and degrees in STEM fields. As a family, we also are invested in MUSC, and that'll be announced in a couple of weeks what we've been doing, and we've been working on this now, I don't know, 7 years or so, and we are working with the doctors in the neuroscience department to help them commercialize devices they're creating. This is all STEM, okay? We're helping them push their products to commercialization, but they have to have the training, obviously, to be able to work in these STEM fields. So we're supporting a variety of things while we're also supporting our public schools, private schools. We are just about to open in 1 week a private school. It is Addlestone Hebrew Academy, a Jewish day school, state-of-the-art STEAM school. So science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. The kids will be in there a week from this past Monday. So that's also very exciting. So are we investing in STEM? Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Well, we are new to this community, so we have not started this yet, but we have a tradition of integrating ourselves into society where we operate in a responsible way, and we do want to be a good neighbor and a productive partner, and we want to give something back to the community where we operate. In China, we did sponsor schools, and we did start specific classes that were tailored towards some of the business that we are working on, so that we can actually be teachers there, we can take internships, and we can provide work to these students in near term and then in long term if they care to stay. So we do a lot of activities like this which are very hands-on, and also providing equipment, etc., to schools. And we also tend to bring the schools that we have in our home country to do collaboration with the schools in the new areas we operate. That way they're fully beneficial from some of the lessons learned from our areas. So what we are doing right now is we're looking into what is the best way how we can contribute and integrate in terms of these things in this community.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I believe we have one more question.
Thank you. I'm Suzanne Dickerson from Clemson University. First of all, what an exceptional panel. Thank you so much to CRDA for pulling this event together. I know everyone in the audience feels the same way. As a woman who worked for 12 years in manufacturing and automotive, Katerina, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you. You probably know by now we have an International Center for Automotive Research in the state. I wonder if, before you have been able to come and see for yourself, which we look forward to having you do, if you have some ideas already about advanced manufacturing research or technologies that you'll be looking for from institutions like ours.
Well, I think it's no secret to anyone that electronics is just anything that is wireless or connected and that can interface with a moving vehicle at, which is at any speed. That is something that is very interesting. Of course, anything that is alternative fuel. The person who comes up with a battery that is rechargeable in a very short time and climate neutral. Because we think electrical cars and hybrids are the future. There are many places where electricity is a dirty source. So we need to find things that are more and more climate neutral, more energy efficient. I should say economic growth is not have to be on the expense of environmentally negative things, etc. We need to find ways where it's both. It's not either or. In the old days, there used to be a lot of clashes within different clans of what you believed in. I work in automotive, but I really care about the environment. I think there are a lot of ways that we can go forward and still keep our cars and our airplanes and do it in a more environmental conscious way. So this is typically a trend. Connected, paperless, wireless, energy efficient, environmental friendly, space efficient. Those are very important areas going forward. When I had my first car, I could put a teddy bear in each corner of the engine bay around the engine. That's how much space there was. Today it's just filled up with everything. We have more compact solutions everywhere, and we have a lot more technology we want to incorporate in our life. Now we need to find a way of doing that in a lighter way and smaller way. We can fly to the moon, so we can do it.
I think you mentioned you want to meet Katarina. If you don't find her at Volvo, she mentioned at lunch she worked at McDonald's once and she wants to come back. And so you can find her at exit 203 or 199 if she's not at Volvo. Are there any other questions? Okay, I see one over here.
I'm Bill Collins from Somerville. I want to congratulate you ladies on the pinnacle of your careers, and I wonder if you could give me a single trait that enabled you to rise to this pinnacle.
Single trait. I'll go first. Tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
Tenacity, great.
Determination.
Katrina.
I'm going to agree, determination.
Persistence, yes, persistence.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good question.
I see one over here. Yes.
My name is Tia Brewer-Footman, and I'm a former television personality here in the Charleston market and a private business owner. I think it is highly refreshing to see an all-women panel, and of course I'm a little biased.
That's what we say too.
I think it's very refreshing. What advice would you give to up-and-coming women who maybe second guess whether or not they are qualified enough to serve in positions of leadership? And thank you again for representing your institutions and organizations.
I'm happy to start. Have confidence in yourself, number one. And Tia, you and I know each other. Have confidence, make sure you're educated. If you want to go forward and take on a leadership position, you just have to have trust in yourself if you know you want to do it. But I also encourage you to make sure you have all of the necessary information so that you will be successful. And don't be afraid. Fear should not get in the way if it's something you really know you want to accomplish. And again, that determination and persistence, go for it. Don't have fear. Go for the things you want. It's the only way you can get there. You have to work for it. Okay.
I do think women create more barriers in their mind, and probably because obviously there are still far fewer women in senior leadership positions, so it's harder to find that role model. And we probably rely on role models too much, where I have to be like you or like you, and if I don't see myself like you or you, then I come up with this barrier that says maybe I'm not the right person. And so the finding that tenacity or determination within yourself to believe that you can learn whatever it is that you need in order to be successful. I would say communication skills, really critical in our environment, both in terms of engaging with the workforce, doing that collaboration, the partnerships that are required externally. Strong communication skills are really important, and then again, remove those barriers.
I want to say diversity starts before we get to the genders. It starts by people choosing to surround themselves with someone who thinks differently. So dare to be different, regardless if you're a man or a woman. And of course, believing in yourself and being determined is very important. But don't second guess yourself because of your gender, absolutely not. I also think generically, regardless if you're a man or woman, you're probably more successful if you operate in an environment where you're comfortable. And with that, I don't mean that you should not go outside the comfort zone, but you should not just try and choose an occupation that you think is expected of you or whatever. Therefore, dare to go to places that you are truly interested in and passionate about, and you will do well if you're determined and have a no-nonsense attitude and hands-on.
And I just want to add a little bit to that. As a woman taking on a leadership position, sometimes we may be a little uneasy. But keep in mind, whoever advocated for you to be in that position would not have done so if they didn't have full confidence you could do it. The other thing to keep in mind is whoever was in that position before you were, when they took it over, it was their first time. So if you go in determined to do what's right, you're going to succeed because everyone has to learn, but you have to have that confidence. I'm just going to say thank you to this wonderful panel. Thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for what you're going to do. Charleston is better because of you. And now I'm going to call up David.
Here we go. Thank you. Fabulous.
Wow. Carolyn, you did great. My goodness. Kept the humor and kept it interesting. Thank you all for your leadership and your time. You all were wonderful. Obviously, they've given us a lot to think about. If you have additional questions, we had to wrap up. I think this could have gone, the energy level was very high, another 30 minutes probably, but we promised to get you out of here, so we're going to cut it off now. But I would tell you they've agreed to take personal questions if you want to come up and talk to them. Obviously, do that afterwards. In the meantime, I want to thank all of you for coming out today. I want to wish you a great afternoon and a wonderful and safe holiday season. Thank you.